Hello everyone and welcome to episode 70 of Generation GC, Harlow's song from Cardiology, Good Charlotte's fifth album released in 2010. My guest today is Sadie Sanchez once again, and as always, I'm Molly Hudelson, and I'm your host as well as the producer, creator, and editor of this show. On our last episode, we talked about Where Would We Be Now from Good Morning Revival. On July 7th, our bonus episode will be coming to you on something that is not a Good Charlotte studio album track. And then our next regular episode will come to you July 21st, and we'll be talking about a song from Youth Authority. As a reminder, the schedule for Generation GC has changed, releasing new episodes every other week, so they're going to be coming to you 2 weeks apart, and bonus episodes will also slot into that rotation, which is pretty cool because now I'll be able to tease and announce the bonus episodes instead of doing the surprise drop. And I also just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has listened to the show, who continues to support the show. 70 episodes is just absolutely incredible. I mean, you could listen to a new episode of Generation GC every day for 10 weeks straight. You could listen to it all day, every day at work, and that would be like 2 weeks straight. We've got a lot of entertainment for you, and I have so many cool episodes planned, and it's just so much fun continuing to work on this show. Now, a little about my guest today, Sadie. Sadie Sanchez is from Indiana, and she's loved Good Charlotte since she was 11 or 12 years old. She's now 28. She's made a lot of amazing friends because of the band. I actually had photographed Sadie alongside past Gen GC guest Alyssa Gardner at Warped Tour in 2016. They were standing in the front row of Good Charlotte's set, and they had a sign that they were holding up that I was like, I have to take a picture of this. Sadie is a cosmetologist and she has 2 dogs. Her hobbies include crocheting and hanging out with her daughter. She also has a GC Fam account on Twitter that she uses when the band is active. I also wanted to say that I love having guests from all around the world and from all different backgrounds represented on Generation GC. If English isn't your first language, that's okay. As long as you're comfortable holding a conversation in English, you're good to go. And I always send out notes in advance, so you're not going to be put on the spot too much, because I like to have an outline to make sure both my guest and myself are prepared and comfortable going into the conversation. And, by the way, different backgrounds doesn't just mean location or ethnicity. That means I want to see a very gender and sexuality representation. I want to represent fans of different ages, fans with their own unique life experiences of any sort. I don't know if there's anything in your life that has influenced how you move through the world, anything that's impacted your experience being a GC fan, hit me up. I would love to have you on the show. I want everyone listening to feel represented. And I also want to continue mentioning BlackLivesMatters.card.co, Antisemitism.card.co, and Anti-Asian Violence Resources.card.co. Before we get to the episode, I just have one more note, and that is Generation GC stickers. They're here, they're sparkly, they're pretty darn cool. If you do want stickers, there's 2 things you can do. Number 1, you can support the show on Anchor. Go to anchor.fm/GenerationGCPod and click support. All that money helps me keep the show going. It helps me print and ship the stickers, but it also helps me buy equipment that I need. It helps me buy headphones, a laptop riser. It helps me buy notebooks and pens, because sometimes I take notes on paper too. And whatever you want to give makes a difference. It helps me out. Or you can make a charitable donation. Go to blacklivesmatters.card.co. Take a look at any of the orgs that are listed there, whatever you can afford to donate. And then you're going to send me a screenshot of your support of the show on Anchor or your charitable donation, as well as your mailing address, and I will send you stickers. Also, make sure you're following Generation GC at Generation GC Pod, POD, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so that you can see what I'm up to, because sometimes I will post other ways that y'all can get stickers. Thank you for tuning in, and now on to episode 70.
So, Harlow's song is track 10 on Cardiology, Good Charlotte's 5th album, released in 2010. Track 9 was Standing Ovation. Track 11 is Interlude, the 5th Chamber. Clever title, by the way, on that one.
Yeah.
5th, because the heart has 4 chambers. It was not a single. I don't believe it was ever played live. The album itself, I think, just credits Joel. I want to say just credits Joel as lyricist. YouTube credits Joel and Benji and Luke Walker as lyricists.
Okay.
Now, that's like an auto-generated thing. So I don't know, like, the origins of that or why he was credited, like, per YouTube, but not on the album itself. But I don't know. From the little I understand about songwriters, there's all sorts of regulations on who is and isn't credited on a song. But just fun facts about this Luke Walker guy. He is the in-house producer-songwriter for Pulse Recording, so he's worked with everyone from the Deftones, Alkaline Trio, From First to Last, and Sugar Ray. And he's also in the groups Start Trouble and The Summer Obsession with former GC drummer Chris Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Right. TBT. Yeah, I mean, hasn't been played live, hasn't been played on the radio, so that's about it on stats for that one.
Yep.
And we've got a lot to dive into, but Sadie, I want to help our guests get to know you.
Okay.
So, when did you first hear Good Charlotte, and what were your first thoughts on them?
Okay, so it's actually a really funny story. So, I don't know, I was maybe like 10 or 11, and my best friend, I would go over to her house all the time. And we're still friends, by the way. She's still a GC fan. And we were into like the pop music, the Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears. And like one day I went over there and she was playing this music. And I was like, no, we are not turning into this. I hate it. And then like I remember waking up to my dad's alarm every morning, and he had it set on like a radio station, the old alarm clocks. And I remember I would hear Girls and Boys on the radio, and I was like, why am I hearing this everywhere? This is awful. And then somehow
your dad's alarm?
Yeah, because he had it set to like when the alarm would go off, it was playing like a radio station. So I would hear it all the time. And then she just kept playing this music. And eventually I was like, okay, I dig it. And here we are. Many years later.
Well, I know the answer to this one, but I like to ask this anyway. Have you ever seen Good Charlotte live?
Absolutely. Too many times to keep track of.
Amazing. Yeah. I'll put it in the intro that I took that picture of you and Alyssa for sure.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad you found me because I had stayed in touch with Alyssa here and there, and with Kelly as well, who I also met that day. But yeah, I guess it wasn't until recently that you and I reconnected on social media. So
yeah, very
exciting. Well, yeah. So that picture was taken in Indiana at Warped Tour. You are from Indiana.
Yep.
So did you grow up in Indiana?
Yep. Born and raised.
So were you able to see like a lot of concerts locally growing up, or did you have to travel a lot? Because I know the Midwest is like sometimes you get stuff, sometimes you don't, sometimes stuff is just far away.
I mean, yeah, we would have to travel. I mean, I live in a smaller town. So, Indy is like an hour and a half away from me. The major cities are pretty far, but it's not, ungodly far.
Yeah.
But when you're a young kid with no driver's license, that becomes an issue.
Right. You're not, it's kind of hard to get mom and dad to drive you an hour and a half on a school night, I imagine.
We did it. We did it though.
But you did it. Well, that's awesome. Yep. Well, you have a daughter. So if you're comfortable sharing, how old is she?
She is 12. She'll be 13 in October.
So is she a fan of the band? Because I guess she would be about how old you were when you started getting into Good Charlotte.
She is. She's heard it since she was in the womb. She likes it. She knows all the words. And she's never been to a Good Charlotte concert, but I think now she's at that age where it would be okay.
Yeah, because she would have been, I guess, the last time they toured
She
would
was
have been
about 8 or 9.
2019. Yeah.
Yeah, because the last time I saw them was in 2018 for the Gen
Yeah.
RX tour in November. And I didn't take her because I was traveling around. I didn't stay local.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully one day she gets to go.
She will. If she does, it'll definitely be a local show, and then I'll take her home and then continue following the tour after that.
I have to say, I don't have children, but I have to say just one of my regrets is not traveling around more for Good Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because as much as I have traveled for shows over the years, it's almost exclusively been shows that I was working.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's like, I think the one plus side, the one realization I've come to over the past year is that that's like a priority, is that I am going to travel more for shows that I just want to go to, because why not?
Yeah, it was hard and I've never done it, but I would do it again aside from that time. It was pretty fun. I had a really good time.
Yeah. It sounds like a great time going to Good Charlotte, shows, traveling. Why not?
Yeah. Yep.
I would just also love to know, like, what besides Good Charlotte, like, what are some of your daughter's favorite musicians? Like, what is she like? What do the kids like nowadays?
Well, it's actually kind of funny. She was into JoJo Siwa for a while, because she's a young girl. But now that she's, getting a little older and understanding that there's different music aside from, music like that, she loves Sublime. I know that is crazy. Yep, she's a Sublime fan.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know many 12-year-old girls that are Sublime fans, but that's awesome.
Yep. She's got many paintings around here in her bedroom, but of Sublime. She sits around and paints, so that's cool.
That's fantastic. Well, in terms of the artistic sense, I guess she takes after you in a sense, because you were telling me you like to crochet. Which I mostly knit, and I would not say I am that highly skilled at knitting. Like, I can knit, I can do like some basic cables and stuff. I've just recently started crocheting. What's your favorite thing you've made?
I don't make super big projects because I get bored, but
it's hard
most
to favorite
thing, I have crocheted my daughter. Her name is Michaela, by the way. I've crocheted her 2 or 3 like mallard ducks, like stuffed animals, and she loves them. That's her favorite animal, so I had to do it for her.
I love that. Yeah, I think my favorite animal is zebras, and I really want to learn. I want to get better at crocheting. I tend to be very loose, both in knitting. Oh my God, listeners, I wish you could see this. This is so cool. I tend to be very loose in all my stitches, so I need to like get better at that so I can like make a stuffed animal, a stuffed zebra, or like a teddy bear.
You really have to, it takes time to figure out your tension too. Yeah.
I made some like fingerless gloves recently that I knit, and I went down one size in the needles that were recommended from the pattern, and they were still too big. And I'm not sure if I am just knitting too loose or if my hands are just that small. So
well,
I got some learning to do. Just a couple more questions that I have for you before we dive into Harlow's song. So I understand you're a cosmetologist. So what made you want to pursue that as a career?
Well, I was the kid that all the girls would come over to my house to do their hair. So I've liked doing it, and I never thought I would pursue that, but here we are.
Amazing. Well, last question before we dive into the song. So this is a big question, and maybe we need to come back to it later. You have a GC Fam Twitter account. So
yes,
what is GC Fam to you?
I think to me, it is the fact that we are all just a big family. We all connect in that same way over the same band. And I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely become much more privy to that community over the past year of doing the podcast, which has been really cool because for so long I like heard about it, but I didn't really know about it.
Yeah.
But now I get to like really see it and like really connect with more people, which is the coolest thing.
It's probably one of the best things that has ever happened to me because nobody around here shares that same love for this band, you know? So
yeah. Well, now you're connected with me and people all over the world, which is awesome.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about Harlow's song. So I again, I'm so happy that we did connect after so long. Why did you want to talk about Harlow's song?
Well, I can definitely relate to that song. Yeah. So, I mean, Harlow and my daughter were born in the same year. So
I was going to say, I'm doing the math in my head when you said she was 12. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Harlow was born in January and my daughter was born in October the following year, the same year. So I can definitely relate on that level with being a parent.
Yeah. What was it like for you to hear like your favorite band sing about an experience, like such a personal experience that you were going through as they were also going through it for the first time with like being a parent and raising a child?
Was very unreal. Like I felt like I was going through the same exact thing at the same time as them and I could love them even more for it.
That's pretty cool. That's I mean, we've talked with like other songs that have come out, people have shared, and often the reason people want to talk about a song is because the timing just fits.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like every album is like that for me.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what this song means. So I guess I want to hear first what you think it means, and then I'll kind of share what I think it's about, and then we can dive into some of what the band has said.
Well, I mean, just the lyrics and the whole song in general. I mean, until you're a parent, you don't know what that feels like. I mean, you can feel like that towards your animals or whatever else, but it's something you don't experience until you experience it.
Right.
So I definitely relate to it on all levels.
Yeah. I'm not a parent, right? So this is one that I don't relate to in that sense, right? Like,
but you can feel the love.
Right. I can feel the love. And I think for me, it's a lullaby, basically, right? Yeah. Like he's talking about watching his daughter go to sleep. I'm imagining, he's tucking her in bed and he's singing her a song, and then
he's peeking in the bedroom to make sure she's sleeping peacefully. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you've got bad dreams. Hey, like I'm right here. Daddy's right here, and just talking about how proud he is. And I've seen like some of my friends have started to have kids, and I see it like just how much that like changes them completely.
It really does. It really, really does.
I guess like I mean in whatever ways you're comfortable sharing, like how would you say having a daughter has changed you in however you're comfortable sharing?
Well, I think for me, I mean, I had her young, I was 16 when I had her, and she has been nothing but by my side. It makes me just want to be a better person for her. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have to grow up. And I know that sounds kind of terrible because I was so young, but that's the truth. Yeah.
I have seen that with, just other folks I've known that have had children maybe earlier than they planned, that it kind of, it forces you to grow up in the most extreme way because you can't be messing around anymore.
No, you really have to think about your decisions and how it's going to affect your child, whether it be in the present or in the future.
Yeah. I mean, everything, like from where are you going to live? What job are you going to take? Yeah.
Yep. Everything.
Yeah, it's, I think about things with like us. My job is like 9 to 5, right? Okay, but if I had a kid, I would have to think about everything from, is this job paying me enough to take care of the kid, but also,
am I going to be able to afford childcare? Things like that.
Will my job let me come in 5 minutes, 10 minutes late so I can take her to daycare? Like,
yep.
Yeah. One thing I'm curious about in this song in terms of like your own interpretation. So the line, I can't dream without you. Is that Joel saying that to Harlow? Or is that what he's imagining his daughter is saying to him?
I really think it could go both ways.
Yeah.
But I think it's Joel saying he can't dream without her because it goes back to what we were just saying. It makes you double think your decisions.
Yeah.
He can't make the best decisions without her if it wasn't for her. So that's the way I interpret it.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. This song is a lullaby, but it's not just a lullaby. It's like, you are the light of my life. You're so important to me. You've changed. Your existence is my dream. And
absolutely.
I think like something that we often talk about with Good Charlotte is how like, yeah, they wanted to be rich and famous, right? They wanted to be successful, but I think it was clear from the beginning that part of that was they wanted to take care of their family, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, I don't know his finances, but I imagine, financially, I would imagine that Joel and Nicole have no issues taking care of their children as well as all the members of Good Charlotte. I think they're right. Doing pretty well taking care of their children, right? But it's I don't know. It's I talk about it with such, and I have to be upfront. I've had definitely mixed feelings over the years of like, would I ever want to have children, right? But it's very cool to just see that love and that care kind of come to life, I think.
Yeah.
In someone to see that expressed.
I love the song. It'll never get old for me. So
yeah. The timing, I mean, is it sounds so perfect for you.
Yeah, it definitely worked out.
Yeah. It's I think this song, when I was like, I would have been 19, like I just turned 19 when this album came out. And at that point, I didn't really know anyone that had kids, right? And I was like, what is this? Like, okay, this is like pretty. This is really sweet, but like, what is this?
Yeah, I want to hear the anthem. I don't want to hear this.
Right. I was like, I want to hear Counting the Days and Sex on the Radio. I was like, Sex on the Radio last night, like it's her birthday. Maybe those are a little aligned with where I'm at.
But you can feel them mature as the albums come out. So that's
much,
awesome too.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a very, I think, a nice kind of ending to, I don't want to go into detail on it on this episode, but a nice kind of ending to, an upbringing that maybe was not so happy. In terms of the arrangement of the song, like what I noted in my notes was just that it's very subdued. Like it feels very personal, like it wasn't really intended for the world to hear. So like, I'm not surprised that this was never played live, right? Like, this is like a lullaby for his daughter that they happened to decide would go on the album. Let's go over, I guess, what the band has said about the song.
Okay.
So Benji did the track by track with alt press, and he said, "When I first heard this song, I got choked up because I've seen how much my brother loves his kids firsthand. Originally, Joel wanted this song to be just for his daughter, but I insisted it go on the album. It's the rawest emotion I've seen from him in his songwriting in years, so he agreed. Now it's my favorite."
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, like, because I feel like there's a misconception that raw emotion has to be like pain or sadness, but like
Right.
raw emotion can also be just this vulnerability of saying how much you love and care for someone.
I agree with you on that.
Benji also talked about this with Spin. He said that the most powerful lyrics are the ones that Joel wrote about his daughter on Harlow's song. When Joel told me he was going to be a dad, I was psyched. Joel, he's the rock star. When you see Joel step on stage, he's born to be a rock star, but he's also the best father I know.
That is so sweet.
Yeah. And then Joel talked about this with Pop Eater, which was a series from AOL. So the video itself is no longer on the internet. But this quote has been pulled and cited Celeb Magnet, Song Facts, I think a couple other sites sourced this, posted this. Pop Eater interview included this quote. Joel says that I've never written a song like that. It was pretty interesting. It's like a straight love song for somebody. It's a lullaby, and it ended up being on the record. I've never really had the ability to write songs like that, so I guess my life has changed a lot.
Absolutely.
I mean, you think about it, did they ever really have like a straight love song for somebody before this?
Maybe. I guess it's how you interpret other songs off of other albums.
Right.
Because sometimes, songs you can perceive them however you want. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely songs that are about relationships and stuff, but like so you haven't heard this yet, but we have an episode coming up on seasons. And like, I would say that's a love song. I would say that too. It's not like a love song in the way that this is, I don't think.
No.
I feel like Seasons is like, oh yeah, I had a summer fling, and then when I got cold, she dumped me, and now I have all these feelings.
Yeah.
Which is a very different kind of bonds than you would have with your child.
Absolutely.
Do you have any memories or like stories that you wanted to share about Harlow's song?
Well, I mean, obviously, like when I heard it for the first time, I was really emotional because I can relate so bad on it. And it's like, oh my gosh, somebody put this song out and it happens to be my favorite band. And I mean, I don't know. It's just like, it's so overwhelming that I don't even know how to explain it. But it's like somebody took my feelings and put it out there for me. So that's how I really relate to it.
That's kind of like, it's a very good feeling because sometimes it's really hard to say what your feelings are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes I definitely experienced this in so many ways. Hearing a song, hearing certain Good Charlotte songs just will help you kind of put that to words, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And I feel like you have kind of the extra special connection of like, not just the song came out at the right time, but like, no, literally the band was going through the same thing that you were experiencing at the same time as you were experiencing it.
Mm-hmm. It's like I became a parent with them.
Yeah.
I got to, do that chapter of my life with them, and I still am. So that's cool.
Yeah. I hope that, Good Charlotte's able to tour again because I hope you're able. I mean, I'm sure they will, but I just hope for you that you can bring your daughter to shows.
I absolutely will. I can't wait for that day. I already have it all planned out.
Well, tell us the plan.
Well, here's the thing. I still want to be front row. but I'm going to have to do it in a safe manner with her, you know, because I don't want her getting kicked in the head by moshers or crowd surfers or anything like that. I mean, I'll take the hit, no problem. You know, I'm choosing to be there, but I don't want her to have a bad experience. But that's kind of the energy of it too. That's kind of what makes it fun.
Right. Well, I'm trying to remember, what did the poster say that you and Alyssa were holding?
Oh
remember?
my gosh. It was a lyric from Predictable. It was that I've been waiting, I've been searching.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting for this. Yeah.
Because they were on that hiatus for the longest time. So she came up with that.
So clever. Well, I'm just thinking maybe you need to have a sign. Maybe that's your thing, is you need to have a sign and say, this is my 50th show, her first. Something like that.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
I worked Estfest, Machine Gun Kelly's festival, a couple of years ago, and I ran into a girl who was pregnant, and she said she had like written like on her belly like mama's third, baby's first.
Oh my gosh, that's cute.
So cute. And it was like, I don't know if you're an MGK fan, but it was a very like exciting and just very positive environment. It was really, really nice time. In terms of other Good Charlotte songs this relates to, you know, obviously other ones about their kids. Standing Ovation on this album. California, The Way I Say I Love You, and Cold Song was also a song for Joel's kids. Can you think of any others specifically about their kids?
Oh my gosh, I would really have to rack my brain.
Because I was like going through it, and I don't...
And it's crazy because I don't know, for me personally, I never thought of like Cold Song as a song. And I mean, I don't know, but in that moment for me, I was going through a really hard time. You know, my daughter's dad passed away. So that song really got me through, you know, the grieving process. So for me personally, I didn't associate that with that in that moment, but I can definitely see it.
I know this because I pulled that from an interview. I think that Joel did, I want to say, with a French website. And he talked about how those were like really special to him because they were about his kids, or like for his kids.
I think that's a good song for kids though. I mean, you know, you're not alone. If you're going through something, I'm right here, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. It was, I like almost wish I could dive into this more, but I'm kind of like, there's some things that the internet doesn't get to hear. But, you know, I have my dad on this show, and he's a musician, right? Like after college, he moved to New York to play in rock bands. And he doesn't do that for a living. He works in technology sales, but, you know, he makes enough money that he owns like multiple drum kits, right? Like, so, and he still plays in bands, and I think he has a gig this weekend. Because that
is so cool,
which is like super exciting. Yeah. They were
one of the cool dad.
Thank you. They were one of the last bands that I saw pre-lockdown, but I bring it up because I remember in the closing of that episode, he just talked about how, like, he saw for me, like, all that I went through in high school and everything, how much Good Charlotte helped me.
Yep.
So
I relate to that.
There's a part of me that's like, I kind of wish I could, like, dig into that more, but also, like, no, that's like that. No, that's not a thing.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. But just hearing him talk about that and hearing him talk about me getting into music was very cool.
Gosh, that would make me like want to cry. Like, oh my gosh, you realized?
Yeah. Oh, he definitely realized. They definitely realized. Well, I want to read some reviews of this song. Reviews of this album as a whole were not very great. A lot of reviewers did like this song, but not all of them. But we'll read. And I'm trying to give a representation. So the Blue and Gray Press, which is from the University of Mary Washington, it's their student newspaper, their article was Good Charlotte, more like Irrelevant Charlotte, which, like, okay. I mean, they're trying to say something in the headline, whatever. As an indicative side note, the intro to Harlow's song is near stolen from Rihanna's song Unfaithful, representing just how creative these guys are this go-around.
Oh my gosh, that's somebody making something up.
I don't know. I can almost guarantee you that was not intentional.
Yeah. You know, a lot of artists get accused of things like that. And it's like, you know, there's only so many ways you can do things. I mean, but that doesn't mean somebody copied.
And to be fair, I don't know if you know this, but March On was inspired partially by Love Fool by the Cardigans.
Mm-hmm.
And the songs sound nothing alike, but the melody of the verses is kind of similar.
I can see that.
So maybe there was like a Rihanna inspiration. I haven't seen anyone else like citing that, so I don't know. Continuing on the line of college newspapers reviewing this is the Harvard Crimson. Fancy. Though most of Good Charlotte's new songs still recall high school angst, the band does give a more introspective look at growing up in a few of their tracks, including Harlow's song, where Good Charlotte make themselves more vulnerable by exploring new themes that are more relevant to where they are in their lives. It's a heartfelt dedication to lead singer Joel Madden's daughter, Harlow. It showcases a softer tone in Madden's vocals, as well as a more sensitive side of Good Charlotte's songwriting.
I like it. I like that review way better.
Yeah. Rock Sound said, songwriting-wise, they found a formula and refined it over their 5 albums, rather than stuck rigidly to it. It's a simple one. The lyrics are straightforward, whether they're casual or candid on Harlow's song, which musically, they've ditched their early material's urbanish influences while maintaining the fun parts of pop punk. So we're left with the Good Charlotte that brought us the brilliantly catchy Seasons or Festival song without the awkward rapping interludes, and for that we thank them.
They've evolved, you know?
They have. Although I do wonder if this reviewer understands how much there was like a true hip-hop influence to them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they definitely have evolved. This reviewer picked up on it.
Well, and that's the thing too, you know, like sometimes fans, I'm not saying Good Charlotte in specific, but you know, when artists come out with new music, they're like, oh, it doesn't sound like the old stuff. Well, if it all sounded the same, it would not be interesting, you know?
Right, exactly.
They grow
like,
up,
why
they
would
mature,
I keep listening? Yeah.
There's different things going on in their lives. Why would they still be writing about that thing versus what they're going through right now?
Exactly. Idobi said a whole different type of love is present on the obviously titled Harlow song. The words that have been penned about the love in his life are no mystery, and the rest of his bandmates allow him to share these thoughts with the fans. And they gave it a 4 out of 5. Consequence of Sound gave this album a D, but they said that the band's maturity shines through on this track. It doesn't try to do too much and has an original style that breaks away from a typical GC song. All right. So this was the one they liked, I guess. Let's read some YouTube comments. So these were on a fan upload from the user SomeFanRock. So just a few on here that are pretty sweet. Country Lover 34 said, I swear, who's putting onions everywhere? I just broke down in tears. This is so beautiful. Carissa K. Wilthong says, honestly, this song I always think of my niece. She just turned 2 a few days ago. I couldn't picture my life without her and love the way she looks at me. I couldn't love someone as much as I do her.
That is so sweet.
Rockstar 6901, this is my favorite. I danced with my daughter at my wedding to this song. Love it.
Oh my gosh. That is like
incredible.
the highlight of the reviews for me.
I was like, well, I have to read this one. I'm like scrolling through. I was like, oh, I have to read this one. I love when I find like such a gem like that in the comments.
Yes.
So the comments on songmeanings.com are like a little something, and like song meanings, like as bizarre and sometimes vile as YouTube was. And you know, you also had Absolute Punk, which had its own angry comment section.
Mm-hmm.
But Song Meanings was kind of its own world. Like, there was so much fighting. Especially, like, Chronicles, Good Morning Revival, and this album. Just so much fighting in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to read what some folks have had to say.
I'm ready.
Freeman Fisk says, first I thought the song was for his wife or something, but now I understand that it is for Joel's daughter. And I agree. It's a little creepy that he says, when you close your eyes and go to sleep tonight, I'll be right outside your door. But the rest of the song is adorable, and I think that Harlow will be so touched when she's old enough to understand that her dad wrote her such a beautiful song. Is it creepy that a dad is like outside the door when his daughter's going to sleep?
Not at all. I mean,
right.
I'm like speechless over that. Like, I don't understand, but you know,
what I imagine from this, and this is like, I'm not sure the exact timeline, but I imagine your child gets to a certain age and maybe you don't necessarily stay outside the room, but like when a child's an infant, you're probably
that's what I was getting ready to say. I mean, she was 2 when this song came out. She wasn't 20, you know.
Well, and it's like when she's 2, probably that's the time when they've transitioned from mom and dad are in the room with you as you fall asleep.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm sure they read her stories, sing songs, tuck her in.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not like rocking her to sleep in their arms, probably.
Right.
I don't know their family life, but like, so yeah, I could see parents wanting to stand outside the door and just making sure.
Yeah, just to check and make sure that they're doing okay on their own.
Mm-hmm. Breland Baby said, this is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard from this band. I love Good Charlotte and I always will. I think this song is for Joel Madden's daughter because he doesn't want to ever be without her.
That's a sweet comment.
Yeah. I'm X Sarah X says, love this song. I don't have children, but I can just feel the incredible amount of love a parent has for their child expressed in this song. And Joel watching Harlow fall asleep isn't creepy. It's his daughter. A lot of parents watch their children fall asleep to make sure they are okay.
There we go. That's exactly what we said.
I really think that's what it is that this is like, just imagine like that this is like you kind of transition from when you're rocking your child to sleep to like letting them sleep on their own.
Kids have to learn to self-soothe and stuff, you know?
Yeah. But you also, I could imagine you would also want to be there because like,
I mean, heck.
Adjustment, like.
Mine is 12 and, you know, like our bathroom, you got to walk past her bedroom. You know, sometimes I'll peek in like, hey, you should probably get off that iPad or, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I
mean, my
mean,
parents were yelling at me to get off the computer until I was like 14.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine too.
Yeah. I don't know if this was Emma O or Ema O, but this person says, I know this song is about Joel's daughter, but I think it was written in such a way that people that are in love would find themselves in it too. So I think this is a love song. Joel meant it for his daughter, but it could be as well about a lover.
I mean, maybe, but like, you know, the rainbows for your eyes to see and stuff. I don't know. I don't think I would be associating that personally with my significant other.
Right. This definitely to me feels very specifically about
It's a very innocent
being
song.
a parent. Yeah. Right. Right. It's like a very deep love, but that's very innocent.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, Sadie, I will just love to hear, how has Harlow's song held up for you over time?
It doesn't get old. I still love the song. I mean, granted, I got all their albums on shuffle on
Sure.
Spotify. Sometimes I skip that song because I just want to be pumped. I don't want to be all in my feels, but when I do actually let it play, I'm like, why didn't I let it play the last 8 times? The song is so beautiful.
It's definitely one that I have come to appreciate so much more as I get older. I still don't relate to it.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day, I maybe my siblings will have children and I'll see that, and I'm sure I'm
kind of like that girl in the comments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that talked about her niece. Yeah. And I'm sure that, I'm turning 30 this year, so I'm sure more of my friends will have kids in the coming years, Yeah, it's definitely one that I've come to appreciate so much more over the years, and really realizing how vulnerable it actually is.
It is. It's a very vulnerable song, very raw.
Yeah. Well, Sadie, what has Good Charlotte meant to you over the years, and how has that changed?
They have meant more than words can describe. I mean, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. I mean,
sure, yeah.
I feel like I've been going through certain things at the same time as them. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to change. Everybody still kind of giggles and laughs at me like, you still like that band? They don't even know who you are. Well, that's not what I'm looking for. I can relate to what they're saying, what they're writing about. And even if I don't, the music's great. I will never not like it.
Exactly. Well, do you have any last words about Harlow's song, about Good Charlotte, or about yourself?
I would love if they wrote more songs about their children, actually. Just because I think it's sweet.
Benji has a daughter now, too, so who knows what we might hear going forward.
I know. I'm kind of wondering, now that everything's kind of been locked down, have they been writing new songs? I mean, I'm sure they have, but
I know. Okay. Well, let's diverge slightly. Okay, so we got last December. In December, I mean, this episode
I can relate to that one too.
Same, yeah. The timing on that one. Oof.
I couldn't stop crying listening to that one.
Oh my god!
After that whole grieving thing I was telling you about, I was like, oh my gosh. Why are they doing this to me? But at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really needed this. And it's amazing that it's them.
The song came out on a Friday. And my grandmother was in hospice care. So she had been in hospice care for a while. And then she passed away on Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That Monday. So a couple months ago now. Yeah, so I was like, oh, so they were just preparing me. They were like, hey, we know you're going to need this in a few days. But, okay, so we had that song in December. I haven't really noticed anything that seems like they're hinting at new music.
No, I think they like to be a little secretive sometimes and then just kind of bam, here you go. This is what you've been waiting on. And then we all freak out and...
Oh my god, in the days leading up to that song, the amount of messages I sent to Kelly.
I was so mad. I was at work. I was at work when it dropped. So I was like, why? And I have customers coming in to get their hair cut. And it's like, I can't
I can't cut your hair. You need to wait 3.5 minutes.
That's kind of how I felt. I don't care about the money. Just let me listen to my favorite band's song.
Oh, I was in bed and I had turned my lights off and I had my sleepy time tea. And then I'm like, let me check my phone one more time. And Anyway, do you think we're getting another album? Like, do you think Last December is going to be part of an album, or do you think that's like a standalone?
I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like they might have something brewing, but we'll never know. But also, I kind of like to just be positive. I don't want to like be down about it. Like, oh, they'll never come out with new music. Because I was like that when they went on that hiatus for the longest time. I was like, oh my God, they're never coming back. What am I going to do with my life?
I mean, cried for 3 days. Yeah.
Yes. So I really hope they do, just because, I mean, their music doesn't get old, but I love hearing new things. I love learning new lyrics and trying to pull apart what they mean in new songs.
Hello. I need more material for the podcast, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely a chance we could be getting an album. I don't know. Who knows? Like it's been a while since they announced that song and they released that song, so who knows what kind of timeline we're working with, but who knows? They're busy people. The Maddens especially have especially over the past year with Veeps have been doing a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's great too that, I mean, obviously none of us are going to any shows, but I think that they deserve to have time with their families. And this is almost like a blessing in a way for a lot of people.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So I try not to be too selfish, but
right, you're also kind of selfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sadie, do you have any last words about Harlow's song, about Good Charlotte, or about yourself?
Oh, no, because then I'll just go into it. You know, I could talk about them for days and hours.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I was so excited to be on here, because I don't get to talk to my coworkers like this. They're like, oh yeah, Nicole Richie on a magazine that the mailman just dropped off. Who cares? I'm like, but it's Nicole. Look, there's Joel in this.
Yeah, my coworker is like, my one coworker saw my, like, I don't know if I mentioned something about my podcast or whatever the first time, and he's like, oh, that's cool. I'm never going to listen.
Wow, that's kind of rude.
Peace. I know. I was not going to ask you to listen. I knew that they were not your thing. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why it's so cool to like have people that do get it.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling my boyfriend, like, oh, I got to do this podcast. And he's like, oh, come on. He goes, really? Like, you know, because he just doesn't understand. He's not like that. He's not like a fan of anything. Right. So it's just crazy madness to him.
Yeah.
Some people just don't have that, though.
Yeah. Right. They just don't. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine not having it. But yeah, some people just truly don't have anything that they're like that about, which is wild to me.
I don't understand how people live their lives like that. Like,
I don't understand how people have a new favorite band every 6 months.
I don't either.
Like,
I'm kind of like old school, though. Like, I kind of stick to what I know. And like, I like new things. But I'm like, no, but I still want to listen to this 90s music or early 2000s and always Good Charlotte. I'll never get tired of that.
There's like studies. There's literally studies about how like the music you find in your teens tends to stick with you.
Yeah. I guess I didn't realize that, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, Sadie, as we wrap up, I have a Generation GC and Friends Spotify playlist.
Okay.
So I'm going to put Harlow's song on that playlist. And I would just love to hear a recommendation from you. Just anything you are listening to that you've been enjoying lately that's not Good Charlotte.
Oh my gosh, there's things. So we kind of listen to weird music sometimes, but I don't know the names of them. My boyfriend, he loves finding weird music that's not popular on, you know, stuff that's not on the radio. I mean, lately we've been listening to Ghostland Observatory, so I think that's pretty cool.
Cool.
I mean,
I'll add that.
Gosh, there's more, but I can't really. They're so bizarre that it's like not anything that you can remember because it's not out there, and sometimes it's not even on Spotify. But they're pretty cool songs.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, Sadie, thank you so much for coming on. I know you have the GC Fam Twitter. Did you have an Instagram that you would want to share?
No, I don't get on there very often. And I really don't get
Sure.
on the Twitter one often unless they're
Right. Unless the band is
unless
doing
they're posting stuff. I mean, I made that account years ago and I used to post on all the time. But life and jobs and bills and all kinds of things come into play. So, and back when I made it, I was a stay-at-home mom, so I really wasn't out doing anything.
Right.
I go on there every now and then. I'll comment, but that's about it.
Sure. Well, Sadie, this has been so much fun, and I'm so glad. Like, I knew when I was coming to this song, I was like, I have to have someone who is a parent to talk about this song, to talk about their children. So I was so happy that this worked out. This has been so great. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, listeners, thank you for tuning in to this episode. Last week, we talked about Where Will We Be Now from Good Morning Revival. In a few days, we'll have a bonus episode. And then next Wednesday on our next regular episode, we'll talk about a song from Youth Authority. My name is Molly Hudelson. I'm your host. You can follow Generation GC at Generation GC Pod, POD, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow me, Molly, at M Hudelson, MHUDELSON, on Twitter and Instagram. And please make sure to join the Generation GC fam group on Facebook. We hang out there. I will post just things that I'm working on. We'll talk. Let's be friends. Let's hang out. Thanks for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe and follow the show wherever you listen and rate and review on Apple Podcasts.